All right, good evening, everybody. To our regular March 11th meeting. So please join for the pledge to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We don't have a lot on our agenda. I know Rachel's here for the Park and Rec, so no other public in the room. Anybody online, Mary? I don't want to jump by
There's nobody online, but you do have correspondence in your packet.
Excellent. Yep. So we have correspondence. Is that it's about the budget?
Yes.
Okay, great. Everybody has a copy of that so they can read them before a public hearing. So
I'm sorry, excuse me. Excuse me, Nick. I'm sorry, apologies. Mary, is that something you can scan and send to me, the correspondence?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt. Thanks, Nick.
no, good point. Thanks, Bob. All right. We have from our special meeting, minutes to approve from March 3rd. I think everybody was at that meeting.
No, Will Duff was at.
Will Duff was not there. This is the March 3rd. This was that little quick special meeting. So I would accept the motion.
So I'd like to approve the minutes of our special meeting of March 3rd, 2025.
Right. And
Second.
Second, I'll second.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you want to-
all right, any other discussion about March 3rd? Try to raise mine. All in favor? Saying aye.
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 One abstention.
And one abstention.
Okay. Next minutes for March 5th. Mary, this was that special meeting? Was that the
This
little
was the
quick?
special one that Will, Bob, and Karen were absent from.
Right. But this is just to set the date because we didn't do it.
That's
Right,
correct.
exactly. So,
Like
everybody,
we could still vote on it even though there's only 2 members that were present.
Motion made, seconded. No objection.
Can the chair make a motion?
well, the motion's not going to pass. How does that go?
But I think,
No, it is going to pass.
I think it's still passed, even with abstentions, right?
Oh, we
You
okay.
have, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Have a
that's,
quorum.
We have a
Yeah, but-
quorum, but again, we have abstentions, right? So we are all voting. So John, you made a motion.
so
I'll
I'd like to
second
make a
that.
motion to approve the minutes of our special March 5th, 2025 meeting.
Okay, so, and I'll second that. And, any other discussions on that? Seeing, who's in favor, saying aye. Aye. And we have 2 abstentions. And Bob was,
Oh,
Bob was.
you have to abstain.
Oh, that's
This
the
is,
one up there.
yeah,
Sorry.
that's 2-minute meeting. Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, so now we're up to, spending money.
But I think very well spent money.
You said I was gonna like this and you were dead wrong. I love it.
Thank you. So we have an opportunity, just to understand, we have an opportunity to get a mower. Now, as I told the board something, do we necessarily need this mower right now? But this is an opportunity that we can't really let pass us by. The Danbury Airport wants to trade in a mower that they like the Exmark mowers better. And I guess trying to sell it is much more difficult than just trading it in. So we're kind of getting a mower that literally has gone up and down on flat land for 10 years. It only has 900 hours on it. It has immaculate, the book is this thick with how well maintained it has gone. It's an 11-foot cut. It has 3 mowers. All of them can work separate, which is very helpful for our guys. It's a 2017 Jacobson with 900. I found other ones that were 2013 with over 2,000 hours that were also $14,000. So they want to trade it in. They want $14,000 for it. We also have a Ventrax boom mower that was purchased way back, I think pre-COVID, before when we purchased the original Ventrax. I think the guys have used it twice. It's a very hard piece to sell because it's a piece that people can rent. We can trade it in for 6, which brings our total down to 8. For a mower that I think if we maintain it properly, and the airport also has a ton of parts that they can't use anymore, blades, tires, filters, that they're all going to give to us. I just think it's an opportunity we can't pass up. So I know it's a horrible time to come asking for money, but this versus buying something brand new, if for some reason it comes about in the next year or two, we could probably get 8 to 10 years out of this or more if we take care of it.
Just a quick question. You started off at that you don't need the mower right now, but isn't this gonna replace that Toro that the Board of Selectmen
Yes.
approved?
Yes,
For
it
$100,000?
will. So I mean,
So there is a need, is
we
it?
need it, but you know, does that mower kind of work right now? Yes. Can we get by if you said
Oh,
no?
oh.
We could, but I think when you're just looking at the price and what these go for when they're trying to be sold, I think we're getting a great deal. You know, and I don't think the Danbury Airport guys are great. I think the person that's doing this deal, is doing it right for us. So I think it's a great opportunity and it's a perfect timing too, since we'll be mowing in about 4 weeks.
And it's a Jacobson and then the Milford outfit will service it, right?
So
I don't
Jacobson
even
is
know who they
MT
are. but-
MTE, there's a Finch, there's 2 dealerships over there. Finch doesn't have Jacobson. MT is over on Pickett's Lane, where the people that make all the toilet paper are.
Oh, yeah,
Kimberly Clark.
behind Route 7
Yeah.
there, right? Yeah. I got you.
So they maintain the Jacobsons and that is where it's been maintained. That's where Danbury Airports has gotten the parts and sent it for maintenance if it's needed.
Is this unit, I know we had the model number somewhere. Is it a glass cab unit or no?
It is not, but it does have a canopy.
It can't be, yeah.
Yes, so it's not enclosed.
Right. Does anybody have any questions? Just wanted to make a comment for the record. John and I used to own Bethel Power. We do not own it, thank God, anymore. But I hear that, you know, what you're saying, and I think the trade-in and getting this without spending $100,000, and if we get 5 to 10 years out of it, I think it's well worth it. You know what I mean? So.
So
Right. Good.
the $99,000 was what we were planning on spending
So-
for Grandmaster?
So the Jacobson no longer makes this particular model. They make an I believe it's an H600, which is what they quoted out for me. It's the same concept. It's, you know, 3 decks, same concept. They can all work separately. And it's just a newer model, but it's anywhere between, depending on what you get, anywhere between 80 to 90. So brand new, brand spanking new, out of the box kind of deal. So.
Yeah.
But the selectmen asked for a Toro, right? A Toro Groundmaster, right?
Originally.
Originally,
yes.
right.
And then
A
I
month or two
started,
ago.
I
And you started
on-
working on this, right? Exactly.
Because Toro just kind of is annoying to.
Yep, I got it. Any other questions on this? Someone like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve purchasing of a used 2015 Jacobson R-311 rotary mower and take the the amount of $8,000 and take it out of our running CNR account.
I'll second your motion.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor, for everybody's mind, signify by saying aye.
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 All right, thank you.
You
All
know
right,
what?
thank you
And
very much.
ladies,
Thank you.
All right, so I know we have Eric on the line and we have the first selectman walked in. Consideration for 35,000 out of CNR for crosswalk warning lights. Eric, Dan? Eric, would you like to start?
Sure, I'm here. So Dan, yeah, fill in anything I forget. I'm assuming everyone can hear me okay. Good to see you guys again.
We can hear you.
Great. So 35,000 is the request, and so here's how that breaks down. As I explained to the Board of Selectmen at the last meeting we had, these are the flashing lights at crosswalks. If you've probably seen them if you've been to Main Street in downtown Danbury, they have a few. They're basically mid-block crossings. They're not activated unless somebody's there to push the button to pedestrian to cross. So you may not have seen them, but hopefully you have. They're officially called RRFBs, which stands for Rectangular Rapid Flashing Beacon. So there's 4 locations in consideration. Going from, I guess, west to east, there's one at Bethel Cinema. There's a crosswalk. The one at Dolan Plaza, at P.T. Barnum Square on the side where Famous Pizza is. And then there's one at Caroluzzi's. All are on Greenwood Avenue, if I didn't say that already. All of them are already striped and painted with crosswalks. All of them already have bright pedestrian signs, both directions at each location. We went through these locations my staff, and we went with Matt Zavasky from the police department, and we all agreed on these locations were good. And he brought it to the police commission, and they approved it at their police commission meeting on February 19th, these locations. And then I guess the last Board of Selectmen meeting when this got to you was it last week, I think? Anyway, so the reason I mentioned that all these are already existing is we looked at a range of models, about 4 of them, 4 manufacturers, and all of the ones we're looking at are all solar powered. So all you really have to do is hook up the solar panel to the top and the light itself, and then the push button. The poles are already in place. There's no pole or foundation to put in, no electric to hook up. It's all just, plug and play. It's very simple. So that's why we went with that. So, like I said, we looked at 4 manufacturers. On the low end was one we like. That was about $7,000 each, and then on the high end was about $10,000. The high end has a nighttime option with a light that comes on at night. So that one, actually, Matt Zavatsky had used one of that same exact manufacturer in West Hartford. West Hartford has one. Danbury has several. So we called West Hartford. They're very happy with that one. That's a Tapco one. It's the kind of the high end. Danbury has Tapco as well as a bunch of others. They're pleased with all of them. But they do like this, I'll call it the low end, but it's not really the Migma one. That's $7,000. It's less expensive, but it's not necessarily low end. What was I going to say? Oh, so what we decided to do was, because the Tapco has a nighttime option, which we thought was good, we decided to put that one at the PT Barnum Square for a few reasons. One, for safety. We consider that the most critical location, because you're kind of, if you think about when you're coming downtown from Caroluzzi's, you're kind of coming around a curve, you're coming downhill, and also kind of the character of the surroundings change, and all of a sudden, boom, you're in downtown. So that one we can kind of consider the most important, especially going that direction, and thought it would be good to try the nighttime option. It was a little more expensive. And we figured the other 3 would be good with just the kind of the basic option. The other reason to put that one there is that's the only location without good sun exposure for the solar. There are 2 kind of very dense trees. I guess they're kind of between the sidewalk and the parking lot there for that little mall where, what is it, Leo and Rosny's Donuts and the Chinese place are. So those trees would preclude putting that solar right there. What we do want to do, so this one, the other reason this one is a little more expensive is we want to actually move the post over and put in 1 new post just for the solar, hook it up. So there'd be a little bit of excavation into the pavers and replacing those pavers as we put that in a little bit to the west of those trees to get sun exposure, and then hook it up to the pole that the pedestrian sign's already on. So what else? So I think that's everything about the technical. So then that's how we arrived at the cost. So it was about $7,000 for the 3, times those 3 is about $21,000. Then you have the $10,000 for the 4th one, $31,000, and then we reserved about $4,000 for the excavation work and any kind of incidental little bit of buffer space. So that's how we got it to 35. We also, I should point out though that it is a state route, so we do have to get an encroachment permit application approved. We submitted that, as I told the Board of Selectmen, all 63 pages of it for 4 locations. But we don't expect any major comments when we get that back. So I think that about covers it.
If I can just jump in there. I know we don't have a picture or anything. Are we talking about a diamond with the lights mounted on a diamond, or are we talking 2 flashing lights above the diamend?
It's 2 flashing lights. So
yeah. Lighted diamond, but it's 2 lights above. Like I think Westcon has them over there, right?
Yes, there's another one there. Yes.
So they get activated, like a crosswalk button, those two lights flash, they're very visible, and then they go off after a time, obviously, right?
Correct.
And I know we talked about this for almost a couple of years, right, Dan? And we
Yeah,
were
I mean-
hoping to get a grant, I believe.
So we've been very, well, first off, we've been very lucky. We haven't had too many people hurt. Number one, we know we're trying to do a lot right now. We're slowing down traffic. I mean, our police department's been out there a lot on Greenwood Avenue. They're doing a great job. That particular intersection, I used to live there. P.D. Barnum. I actually saw a friend of mine get knocked up in the air, landed. Yeah, went to the hospital, but it was okay. So we've been talking about this for a long, long time. Residents want it. Yes, we've been trying to get grants for it. And, you know, we've been part of a Safe Streets for All grant out of Westcog, which can do some of this stuff, but it's still a long time before we actually get grant money. So at some point we have to pony up and say, listen, let's get this fixed before this summer comes and somebody gets whacked. There's other things we can do. Like long-term, we're looking at doing all kinds of things to that road. But it could be years and years and years before the money to do it. It's a very, very simple thing that can save a life. And I think it's just time. You know, instead of like trying to get this grant, that grant, none of them have ever really come through yet. Even the Safe Streets for All grant that we got coming our way, we could use for some other things down there, but it could be some time before we get it. So going through another season, silly. When we, you know, we actually also thought these were going to be a lot more money because we were looking at, you know, the wired in and the big, you know, the whole, to do what we're doing with these, I think is really reasonable, the big picture.
I know we talked about it for a long time, and you're right. It's a matter of time that someone does get hurt, and us talking about it for a couple of years, and then someone get hurt. I think it's not a good look.
Me too.
So Mary, did you like that son?
No, but Bob has his hand.
Yes, Bob. I'm sorry. Your hands up, Bob.
No worries. I'm trying to be compliant to the Zoom meeting rules. Eric, a couple quick questions. Well, first, look, this is a safety issue, and I think it's a great idea. These 4 spots on Greenwood are all traveled significantly by pedestrians, right? And I think to Dan's point, we've all seen near accidents and know of people who had bad experiences trying to cross here. So great idea. Question I had though, you had mentioned that the location on at P.T. Barnum Square has a nighttime option. Can you just explain that a little bit more? What does that mean? Because it suggests to me that the other ones don't work at night.
Correct. I haven't seen it personally. Matt Zavasky actually used one that was installed in the real world, so he could speak to it. But essentially, he described it as like a spotlight comes onto the crosswalk, in addition to the flashing lights.
Sure, I get that. And it's interesting because in our cross-country travels, we've seen these in a lot of locations, and they seem to be very helpful for oncoming traffic. But I guess I'm just kind of curious. So let's say it's the P.T. Barnum. Excuse me. Let's say it's one of the other locations, Bethel Cinema. At night, when people are going to movies and then trying to cross the street, will the unit not work in that instance because it's nighttime?
No. The unit will still work. This is like the spotlight is kind of like an add-on thing. We believe from talking to the manufacturers, that's probably the way the industry is going to go, and this is going to become probably a standard thing eventually. But the flashing lights come on no matter what. The one when I say with the nighttime option, in that case at night, an additional spotlight kind of shines on the crosswalk itself to kind of illuminate it.
Got it. Thank you very much. That's really helpful. Then my second question, they're solar. While it is always sunny in Bethel, there are certain times, right, when it might not be sunny. What is there a storage of charge? Do these things still work if it's cloudy, raining? Look, I get if it's raining, there are going to be fewer people crossing the street. But how do these work, given that they're solar, when we may have a stretch of non-sunny days?
So my understanding is they each have a battery pack, and we had. I can't specifically speak to the electronics of it, but my understanding is the solar powers a battery, I'm not exactly sure how long that is specifically, but I can tell you two things. One, the manufacturers that we had quote us, they took a look at Google Street View to see like the solar orientation, and you could see pretty well on Google Street View like what the solar access is going to be. So that was one thing, and they said they would all be fine locations except the one where the trees are at PT Barnum. And the other thing is Danbury has had several of these installed for several years, and when we called them, they didn't mention anything about having an issue without run out of battery or anything related to solar.
Got it. So presumably the batteries are chargeable or rechargeable based on the solar power.
Yeah, and I would assume
Yeah,
also
yeah.
if they're around for 5 years and the battery dies or something like that, you can be replaced.
Okay. And I assume that these 4 units will all have the price includes the battery?
Yes, it's the whole thing.
Good deal.
Everything.
Thank you very much, Eric. That's been really helpful. I don't have any more questions, Nick.
Thank you, Bob. Just to add, I mean, I drive around White Street all the time. In the winter, they always seem to work, and they do have a battery, and that's why they work at night. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty familiar with the way those work over at the college. So, all right. So, does anybody else have any question for Eric? Or yes,
Is there any type of hard line backup to it, or is it strictly solar and battery?
This would be strictly solar and battery because we don't want to be dealing with costs of we won't need an electrician or anything to hook it up. So hooking up to power would be more complicated and probably more expensive.
yes, Karen.
This question might be for Dan. This is a state road, so why do we have to pay for the crosswalk lights?
State won't do it.
That's not
Well-
right. The state very rarely pays for these kinds of extra things. It's usually up to the community, unless there's a state grant. Like once in a while, right now, we're getting I shouldn't say state grant. Right now, the state is paying for signs around the town. You might have seen on Facebook, like a couple of zero signs, this sort of like they're going around doing that. But to get them to actually pay for these, pretty rare. Kind of got to get some sort of grant through West Cog or pay for it ourselves.
Okay.
Kind of like above and beyond type of thing. The crosswalks,
Yeah.
like we're adding
I
something,
wasn't even getting crosswalks. It's hard enough. Like
Yeah.
half the time we got to take care of.
let alone get them striped.
Yeah.
Annually.
Okay.
But yes,
I just lost track of where they are. So because Eric talked about Carluzzi's, it's not a Carluzzi's, it's the
P.T.
street
Barnum
they
Square.
used to live.
PT Barnum, yeah.
But then there's one on the other side of PT Barnum.
The-
So where are they all going?
They're all on,
Yeah, they're all on Greenwood. Yeah.
is it one at top by Caroluzzi's parking lot too, or is it just the one? down by-
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Out by
like,
Caroluzzi's. So if you're driving
By
by,
church.
St. Thomas Church, there's one like right there. Caroluzzi's on the left, parking lot, St. Thomas on the right. It's used for Caroluzzi's people going a lot too, the parking lot.
Up by
So-
the
yeah,
employee
so there's
parking
one
lot,
there.
right?
You go down the hill, there's the one by PT Barnum. That's a particular danger
Right.
one, right?
And then there's one
Dolan.
on the other side of
Yeah.
PT Barnum.
We're going
Oh.
down to Dolan after that, right?
No, but so you're not doing the next one near the
Correct.
Green.
Right.
Correct. Just the east side next to Famous Pizza. You're right. There's the crosswalk on each side of PT Barnum, but just the one on the east side.
Right, so
Yeah.
that's my question. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
And I'm just wondering how we decided,
Not to
and
do
I'm
that.
sorry, so that's 2.
Right.
And then what? The one at the movie theater?
Are we going down the movie? I thought we were just doing.
Yes, that is one. Yes.
And-
What about the
And
one at
Farnham?
CBS Plaza? Yeah.
We doing Farnham Hill after the next one,
No.
or is it Dolan?
No. Well, let me,
Go
So-
through go through them again.
okay, so you got the Caroluzzi's one, you got the PT Barnum one, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one's at Dolan Plaza where there's a bus stop in front of the gas station. Not really Dolan Plaza, I guess you could say the gas station with the Dunkin' Donuts.
The big white.
Yeah, well, I guess it's not right next to the bus stop. I guess it is kind of more on Dolan Plaza than the gas station, but that crosswalk right there. Cause that one's a big one. In fact, I think that location was approved by the police commission a while back before, but it just didn't happen for whatever reason. And then the last one, some people were saying Burger King, but it's actually right across from the movie theater. There's on the opposite side, it's actually, what is it, Griswold Street? It's really, I guess you could say it's Griswold Street on kind of the, would that be the east side of it? There's a mall there. There's a place called Kids Cuts. It's basically right there. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it goes across from the movie theater to the side of the old Bethel Fabric place there.
Yeah.
And that's it. But
Yeah.
so not further down across from the Sycamore going to the
No,
gas.
those are all traffic lit.
Oh,
Or traffic operated.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so is food bag, so you
Yeah.
can leave it there.
The only other one of concern there that, right, because we could have considered the one at Farnham. The ones you come over the hill, there's one that you can barely see. But we don't get a lot of people crossing there. It's a really terrible place, but
So believe it or not, that's actually is one of our lists, and it's actually on the capital plan as a separate location,
Yeah.
the Farnham one. But believe it or not, CONDOT doesn't generally approve ones that have an intersection there for whatever reason. They're more likely to approve these RFDs at a mid-block where there's no cross street. So that's
Well-
kind of why we didn't include that one in this set. Although there are some streets, basically at several of these, we thought we had a better shot with these.
I mean, going back to John's point, the next one on the other side of PT Barnum where we have the Saturday special officer, I mean, more people cross that one, don't they, than at the pizza place? On the other side of PT Barnum.
Yeah, I don't have the numbers on whether there's more people using that one side or the other. The reason we went with that is more,
Just coming down the hill.
yeah, it's more kind of if
that's the one that people get whacked.
Yeah, it's a visibility thing more than.
Yeah, they're coming around a corner,
Yes.
you got
Yeah.
speed,
Yes.
and hey, they're in the middle of town. Right. And you're okay with the side of PT Barnum, Dan?
Well, I mean, I'd love one on all of them, but
Yeah.
we're being reasonable. I mean, I think that one's more visible on the
Well,
other
maybe how
side.
about to try this and see
Yeah.
how it works out?
Yeah, and the Dolan Plaza is a big.
Oh, that's
It's so
huge.
wide.
Just so wide, no one ever sees
An
it.
accident, did somebody get hit there?
Yeah. Actually, it was down, the one that got killed was a little down towards Notch.
Yeah.
That's where they got killed. But
Now, the
Yes,
one
we had
at Dolan Plaza, is that the one, in between Dolan Plaza and
And
Malta
Rocco's.
Java or Rocco's?
It's like Rocco's. and
Okay.
Dolan.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
big one.
The people come out from behind the car and they're just kind of, it's just so wide.
And
See
the other
people
issue
there.
with that one is cars go around each other. Like,
Oh, yeah.
So we could be stopping for traffic, but then they go around and.
So Eric, the light, obviously, if you're coming from the Sycamore up to town, the light on the crosswalk is pointing on that one, but then the light is on the other side, right? Obviously, that's how it works.
If I understand your question correctly, it's both directions of traffic. So if you're a pedestrian, you press the button, it's going to flash to people coming eastbound and westbound at the same time.
So that one sign where there's one on each side of the street, right?
Yes, both sides. Yeah.
okay. But when you hit the button, if you're on the left side, it's only facing the traffic, right? When the two blinking lights, it's not like
Yes.
there's four on top of that.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, I believe it's both sides. It's both sides.
You're
Actually.
gonna cross halfway.
Yeah, so they must communicate with each other, the one that's across the street.
No, I think the
Yes.
question is if the one sign that's on the right-hand side, you can see the lights flashing. If you're on either side of that sign, it must flash from both sides.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You're right. It's both sides.
Both sides.
You have to get a chance to look, to see it from
Right.
whatever's.
So if there's lights on the other side of the street and the guy's pushing the button on one side, how does that sign know to turn on?
I
Or
believe
is it
it's
just
wireless.
I'm sorry?
Bluetooth,
I believe it's wireless.
Bluetooth.
Someone's garage door gonna go open?
Yeah, we are, my wife and I are frequent walkers of the downtown area. And I think to the extent that we're talking about the cross at the Sycamore, right, or between Domino's Pizza and the gas station, you hit the button and the whole intersection shuts down. You get to cross the street. If you want to get to the other side, there is the opportunity, I believe, that you just walk the next block and there's another button that you can hit that shuts down the whole intersection, and you can cross where Bank of America used to be. And so those, I think, Eric, what you're saying is those are kind of covered because you have the button. The button
Yes.
is coordinated with the traffic lights, and you can shut it down and get a safe passage. I can tell you, we've been clipped or nearly clipped a few times at the Dolan Plaza spot because there's no lights there. And I think it was Dan who said you can end up with somebody trying to take a turn into either side of that plaza. And so a car trying to get around them doesn't see the pedestrian. And, again, I think we've had an experience where you almost got taken out there. So that sounds right to me as well. And if you want, right, I think you guys have already, many years ago, the crosswalk down by Farnham had been moved farther, I don't know what the direction is, but farther away from the hill, right? Because that crosswalk used to be right at Black is, God,
Yeah,
I'm
and
trying-
so now the crosswalk looks like it's between Blackman and High Street. There's not
Yeah.
one at
It used to be right at Blackman, and that was really dangerous because you had cars coming right over the hill. But that has been moved farther down Greenwood, where you got a little bit more vision. And I think what you're saying, Dan, is look, if we had unlimited funds, there are a bunch of other places that we'd want to put lights. These are the 4 hot spots, and I can just say from personal experience, yeah, they are hot spots. And the other items that are mentioned, the other locations that have been mentioned, while it would be nice to have this similar kind of unit there are options for pedestrians that are a little bit safer. Yeah, you can walk a little bit further down the road and cross at Dolan Plaza instead of crossing at Blackman. Up by Famous Pizza. If you're going from Famous Pizza to the Republican headquarters where that used to be, you can even go further down and there's a crosswalk. So that it seems right that you guys, if you're prioritizing, these do seem, again, just based on personal experience of walking through town, these do seem to me to be the 5 high risk or 4 high risk locations.
Okay, great.
Was it a red pickup truck that almost hit you?
And I didn't mean it last time. Really, I didn't. All right. All right. Does someone like to make a motion on that?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the sum of 35,000 and take from the CNR account to spend it on the warning lights to fund 4 crossing walks, and agree with that.
Second your motion.
Do we have a second? Any discussion on that? I'll try everybody's mind. All in favor, saying aye.
Aye.
Let the record show. Thank you, Bob. Eric, thank you. I appreciate the information and the time.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, great. The last thing on our agenda is the comptroller's report.
I'll start the comptroller report. We got news from the state about the health insurance. So I'm putting it in my comptroller's report, but it will affect the upcoming budget. They were talking about 10 to 12% increase in health insurance for the partnership plan with a 1% thank you for living in Fairfield County adjustment. The state announced yesterday, they went with the 10% instead of 12%. So we already adjusted 1% down because they told us last week that it was at most going to be 12 instead of 13. Now, in essence, they're at 11. So after the public hearing, the Board of Finance can reduce the hospitalization account by $30,000. So that's just an update on information that we got from the state. Any questions about that before we go into the comptroller report?
Is that just the town side?
That's just the town side. It will affect the Board of Ed. They're crunching the numbers on how, because they're waiting for the broker to tell them the blended rate. Because the way the teacher's retirement works, teachers can stay in the health plan for the board, but you can't charge them anything additional after they retire. They pay 100% of it, but they pay 100% of the blended rate. So now they got to wait to get all the final numbers from Siegel, who's the broker on it, of what the blended rate would be for them. People with post-retirement insurance for the town side, it works differently, so we don't run on a blended rate. They pay a percentage of the premium. So that's that. As far as the comptroller report goes, on the revenue side, we're at 77.68%. Where at the end of March, we'll be 75% of the way through the year. Obviously, the number one thing in there is interest. We're at $1,742,000 versus a budget of $650,000. We have seen it come down slightly, what we get every month. We were getting like $120,000 for one of our accounts. It's down to like 99. significant drop, but we're still getting like $170,000 of interest a month right now. Depending on what happens with tariffs and everything else and what goes on with the market, this account might jump around to the good, to the bad. We don't know yet. But obviously we far exceeded our budget number for it. Collections at 77%. We were at 78% this time last year. We have a tax sale coming up. That should bump it up a little bit. Some of that's just timing too. That's pretty much everything on the revenue side. Park and Rec looks like it's trending low because it's only at 48% of the, but a lot of their revenue comes in when they sell camp, and they sell camp in April. Any questions on revenue?
Nope.
Expense wise, I have the same concern that I've had for the last, before this fiscal year even started. It's utilities. It doesn't look bad right now, but we won't really get a clear picture of what utilities really looks like until we fully get through the heating season and take a look at that. We do have a couple of our, like, the lease payments or the finance payments for the solar that's in the school complex gets paid in May. So that's coming. So even though percentage wise, it doesn't look that bad yet, we know it's going to be over. It's just a matter of over by how much. It's hard to dig too much into how much we think it's going to be over until we get through the heating because it's so variable. Electric, obviously the delivery piece of what the state did to us is going to jump that up higher, but electric seems to be more consistent of how many kilowatt hours you're going to use. But you get a cold winter or a warm winter, how many therms of natural gas you use varies greatly. So still my concern, we have some accounts that are trending to the good. Like we know debt service is over $200,000. We think our town insurance is going to be $100,000 to the good. We know we have a couple vacancies and salaries. This year is going to be how much, hopefully all of it, but how much of the utility overflow by what the state did to us.
Greg, can I stop for a second?
Yeah.
Why 100,000 on the health for the town? Because
Not the health, the insurance.
Insurance, I'm sorry, yeah. The hospitalization.
It's like the 50,000 we took out last year. That's Kerma, who's their carrier. Well, it's two pieces. Kerma had the ability to bump up, even though they kept their workers' comp flat, could have bumped up our premium based on the salary goes up every year. They haven't because we've had good claims. So in essence, they've been kind of reducing it by not increasing it. But we had to figure that at some point they might come back and go, okay, you have more salary in there. The other thing we did is we greatly reduced the fee that we pay for a broker of that. We renegotiated a contract with them about this time last year. We didn't know, we took some of those savings last year. We're taking some of them this year too.
And that's where we grabbed the 50 because you saw
Yeah.
it was trending.
Yeah. And we got a better rate on our cyber insurance, our flood,
Okay.
Just because we have an insurance number doesn't mean we try to spend it. We still try to save every dollar we can. And health insurance should be 100,000 to the good again this year because we have vacancies. Sometimes it varies on, we had somebody that got married and they went on their spouse's insurance. They were single, so it's not a huge savings to the town, but that's still savings to the town.
Right.
It happens the other way too. Somebody that gets married and then they have a kid and then suddenly they go from a single plan to a family plan. And it goes from costing the town 10 grand to 30 grand real quick. So we're hoping to make up as much of the utility overflow as possible. And we'll have a better number. We won't know in the final number until probably August, but we're getting to the point that some of the variability, I don't think I said that word right. How much is going to vary? I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
The variableness
I know
of
what you
it
mean.
is coming out the further we get along.
Yeah. More baked in the cake. Yeah.
So, but that's pretty much what I have. For
It sounds like vacancies is really gonna plug the holes for our utility costs.
I don't know if it's going to fully plug it.
But it's
And-
certainly gonna
it's gonna help.
2 years ago, you were looking green every night because you didn't know how you were gonna fund some of these overdrawn
Yeah.
accounts.
And
Well,
some
with the interest on our grant.
yeah,
Well,
and
that's
some
the
of it
revenue
is,
side.
we've had like, when we had the conversation about utilities being a problem, we could have gone back to the public and adjusted the budget. The conversations we had at this board level was, if we had to, maybe we don't fully fund our CNR at $1 million. It's one of the reasons that when we sold the properties, we moved to sell the properties to CNR. We sold another property, we moved it to CNR. So CNR is gonna get more than $1 million this year, between this year and last year. It just, what bucket it comes from. And I am hopeful, but I'm not gonna, it's a hope that we're gonna be able to fund the whole $1 million in this budget because we've made up any utility overture or any other over, we don't know yet. So, but we just didn't want to run back to the public. We could have gone, the board could have gone back and said, we know interest is gonna be 1.2 this year. Let's bump up the utility account by the same amount. But like, if we can make it up elsewhere, we'd rather make it up elsewhere.
Absolutely.
So. That's all I have.
I would make a motion to accept Brad's report tonight.
Second your motion?
All right. All in favor, think about saying aye.
Aye.
Before we adjourn, I was talking to somebody from Wallingford, and I know both of you guys are so good at research. His electric bill is $110 in Wallingford, Connecticut.
Because they have their own power plant.
Exactly. What is that? Do you know about it?
Yeah, there's two in the state. I think Wallingford.
They make the
there's one
power
down
for
in-
the whole town.
Yeah, I know, but they get a credit because it's in their backyard.
Yeah, same thing down, I want to say like Guilford or along the
Right.
shore somewhere, they have a similar situation that they've had a public.
They have to
utility
live
for
with it, so
years.
they get a good rate.
So what are we waiting for?
You know, honestly, I mean, to get something built, obviously they're closing down plants. Someday you will see the,
They need to be near water, because that's how you cool them.
well, someday there'll be the micro nuclear plants.
Yeah.
Well, it started off with a coal plant, but he said that the town buys
Nobody's
all the
doing
power,
coal
but you're
anymore.
saying, because the plant's in Wallingford?
It's,
that's-
I believe it's owned by the town.
So
Right.
the
So
town of
they're all-
Wallingford has an electric division.
It's like a public utility. So
And
it's
is
not
it
private.
is it on the river? Is it on the waterway?
I don't know where it is.
Yeah, okay. So-
Yeah, I believe,
So they actually
I
own
want
it.
to say New London, Guilford, somewhere around there has a similar situation where they have their own.
Yeah.
Public
Because it's
utility.
next to the ocean.
Listen, if I could build a power plant out at the industrial park, I would do it in a heartbeat because I think public utilities are a great thing. As long as we run them. you know?
Look, we're all paying 3, 4, I don't even know what I pay, but that guy pays 110, I talked to. That's crazy. You know, he laughed about the public. He said, I don't pay that public
Well,
benefit.
the problem with us is, I mean, we're the most expensive area because we've gotten rid of all the power plants, right? We have to bring our power in from
Buying it.
Canada and other places, which transmitting it is expensive. And then on top of you put the public benefits charge, which,
Yeah,
you know, is like, from being in the legislature, that's free money to them.
yeah, oh, yeah.
They keep hoping for that every day, all the fun stuff.
Right, right.
It's pretty bad.
Well,
So it
that
looks
answers the
like-
question.
Like Basra has a light and power, East Norwalk, Groton, Jewett City, Norfolk.
They all have
Norwich.
something going on
They're
there.
all on the east side, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. So, okay. That's just in conversation. So I would accept the motion to adjourn. We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor, signal saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Robert,
Aye.
thank you. Enjoy your time with your family, please.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
You too, Beth.
Bye-bye.